So you guys know that I'm all about love. Okay? I want you guys to find a wife. I want you guys to get married, have babies, have like that happy ever after ending. I feel like a lot of you guys are being held back by like yourselves. I want to give you some tips. Take what you will from it. I would suggest to like hear it out, go in the mirror, talk about it with some friends, say, hey, listen, am I like this? Try to like self-reflect on like certain personality traits that may be holding you back from finding love. So let me get into it. The first thing I've said to you many times in different videos, but stop trying to play it cool. I feel like it's very important to be upfront about what you're looking for. If you're a person that's like really worried about rejection or like you don't want to come across desperate, you have to get over it. If you want to be married one day and if you want children and if you want to find something real, I would suggest having the conversation like sooner rather than later. A lot of women, they've been burned before by speaking out and telling a man like, oh, I want to be married one day or I want something real. So sometimes they'll hang back a little bit. I would actually open up that conversation yourselves. So for example, one day you're like on a date, just spring the question. So what are you looking for? I know for myself, I'm looking to get married one day and have kids. That's what I'm looking for. What about you? And listen to her answer. Most women, if they're looking for that, they'll be like excited about that. They'll be like, oh yes, this guy wants that too. And then you'll see her energy shift, like taking you a little bit more seriously. If she doesn't like you or doesn't want that, you'll see she'll pull away. It'll be very obvious, okay? The way she's gonna talk to you moving forward, you'll see she's like not gonna be about it. The woman that likes you and that wants the same thing, she'll be more like responsive to your text. She'll be like looking forward to talking to you. She'll kind of like you more. You meet a woman that you like, you find attractive, let her know. I don't want to see her confused about what you're looking for with her. Do not be nonchalant. Be willing to risk it all. The worst a woman could say is no. Second thing to work on is work on your communication. Learn to get in touch with your emotion. Learn to understand what you're feeling and learn to explain that out loud. I feel like there's a lot of men out here that are like avoidant or they numb themselves through like alcohol, cannabis, video games. Learn to really understand like what's going on inside your heart. In a relationship, it's not going to be about you only. You're going to have to explain yourself. Why are you mad? Why are you sad? Did you have a long day? How are you feeling? You're going to have to explain that. You're going to have a partnership with someone else. If you're mad and you tend to shut down, it's not very fair to your partner. For you to have a very healthy relationship, you're going to have to work on like communicating like what's going on internally. I would even suggest start like reading about communication tools, listen to podcasts about things, talk to your friends sometimes and say, hey, listen, like I'm trying to work on this. Ask for help, like, you know, from your family members. I don't know, church. I don't know what your circle looks like. Actively work on like communication, because when you find that woman, you're gonna have to communicate. She's not always gonna have to do all the work. You're gonna have to also be the one that's like driving conversations. You're gonna have to have some arguments one day, like healthy arguments. You can have healthy agreements. You don't have to punch walls and like yell. You can actually communicate things without like escalation. Learn to communicate. The next thing I want you to work on is I want you to work on like what you're listening to. There's a lot of like podcasts and like YouTube channels out there that are preaching like a lot of negative things towards women and what they're looking for. And I think that it's like filling your mind with garbage. And I think it's making you like pessimistic. You know how much time I hear like, oh, you know how women are these days? Oh, modern women out there. No, there's a lot of like amazing, good, beautiful, family-oriented women that are looking for love, that want to have a partner in life. And you're grouping all these women into one category. You're watching these podcasts that bring in some women that are not the best example, and you're thinking all women are like that. They wouldn't be in those podcasts anyway. The good women are like working on their business. They're working at the gym. They're working on their body. They're working on their mind. They're like out in the real world, actually trying to like do something with themselves. They're not like on a podcast half naked. By you watching that and consuming that content, it's making you angry. And there's nothing more unattractive than a man that's like angry towards women. I remember one time I gave my number to a guy, right? I lost my phone. So I didn't have it for like a few days. And when I got my phone back and I turned it on, the guy that I gave my number to, I saw the messages all come through. First message, hey, how's it going? Second message, hey, how's it going? And the third message was like, okay, so you shouldn't have given me your number. He was like so mad. He was like crashing out because I never responded. But he didn't know I didn't have my phone. So he was like spewing all this anger, being like, oh, you women out there, just like, it was just like aggressive. And I don't know who hurt him, but I was like, okay, red flag. Women can recognize when a man has not done the emotional work. And by you continuing to listen to that messaging all the time, it's like tainting your like perception of love. So do not listen to any messaging that preach negativity towards love. That applies to music as well. So like if you like a song, look at the lyrics, read it. So what is it preaching to you? Because there's life and death in your tongue. Like what you say out loud comes to fruition. So I want you to speak positively towards your life. Say, you know what? I'm working on myself. I'm going to find love one day. It's just a matter of time. Stop saying it's nothing going to happen for me. I'm never going to find somebody. Women in these days are blah, blah, blah. No, stop it. Okay? Work on like having positivity again. And the way to do that is to cut off the negative noise. The next thing I want you to work on is I want you to work on your finances. If you're going to have a girl in your life one day and a family one day, you're going to be the provider of that family, right? You want to make sure that you have like good skills with money management. So if you're single right now, it's the best time to work on like paying off your debts. Paying off every debt you have. Your car, student loans, credit cards, anything. Stop wasting money on like buying sneakers, eating out all the time, traveling places you don't need to be. Try to invest money. I would suggest the stock market is a good option. Or like try to put money into like a high interest saving account. Try to really maximize your dollars that you're making with no responsibility. Or even just work on your career to make the most amount of money you can. Don't just like wait around for women and have nothing to provide. Like you actually have to work on like being able to be like a provider for your family. And I'm not saying until you're at a stage where you have like no debts or you're rich that you can find a woman, but at least be on the way. So like work on like, being like good with your spending. Honestly, the less that you have going into marriage, the better, because there's nothing worse than being in debt and having like a family, because then all that money you could spend doing fun things with your family, you're there like worried about like how to pay bills. So try your best to be like as financially free as possible before you have a family, but at least be on the way. The next thing I would suggest is to work on like not consuming like explicit material. Stop watching like stuff like that, okay? Because what it's doing is that it's creating like expectations that are unrealistic for the woman that you're going to be with and the experience you're going to have together, especially in like a relationship that's like secure and that's like a long term. It's not real. What you're watching is not real, especially like social media stuff. You know, it's not real. Okay, so it's Photoshop, it's surgery, and like usually the videos, it's not like sustainable in the long run. By you watching like explicit material, it's like tainting your view of women. You're gonna see them dirty, like, you know, you're gonna see them like a certain way, and women, at least the majority, are not like that. You're not doing yourself a favor by watching content that's like tainting your view of like intimacy. Work on like not consuming that kind of content, okay? Different day. So if you're raised by immigrant parents, and you're like you grew up in like Canadian culture or just like culture in the States somewhere, North American culture, as much as you're having like fun dating different cultures, it's fun like now when you're just dating, okay? But just know that when you actually have a family with that person, a lot of the stuff that you're taught as a child with immigrant parents, they're gonna come into play. So before you start actively looking for somebody, figure out like what kind of cultural values you want to share with the person you're with, because it wouldn't be fair for you to switch up on them at one point or for you to like use that as a deal breaker in the future, because it's gonna waste a lot of her time and a lot of your time. If you want someone that shares your language, someone that can cook your food, or at least want to learn to cook your food? Is it someone that has the same parenting? Obviously, you won't know that till you're an actual parent with that person. But sometimes you can tell what type of parent they're going to be like, or at least what kind of values they have. Growing up, I used to attract a lot of Muslim Arab men. And I remember when I told them I'm Christian, they would find a way to like excuse it. Say, oh, it's okay. We could do both. And like I could tell like they weren't practicing then. But when it came time to actually like get serious, they would expect for me to maybe convert or something like that, or raise our children a certain way. So I never understood the reasoning. Like, why would you date me, but then like, you know, I'm Christian? Take me, for example. I was raised in a first generation African Caribbean household. And the way I was taught different things is completely different than my husband, who's Canadian. You know how much like clashing there was at the beginning of a relationship? But then again, we were like in a blended family. Like we both have children from a previous relationship. So like there was definitely like headbutting there. But now that we have our own children together, like things are like definitely more smooth. But at the beginning, I'm telling you, some things were like war. Like we just were like, what do you... I was just like confused. I'll give you a little fight we were having. So imagine I'm downstairs and my kid is upstairs, okay? If I say, Jackson, I expect for him to say, yes, mom, and come downstairs. That's my expectations as a parent. Whereas for my husband, he's okay if you were to call one of the children from upstairs and they communicate from different levels. To me at the time, I was like very thrown off by that, and I was like borderline like, is that rude? But that's where we're different, and there's a lot of things in the way we were raised that's different. So definitely figure out like what types of things in your culture is important to you, so that you don't just go blindly into a relationship and then next thing you know you're like thinking about all these things that matter to you. I pick up my kids from daycare right now, but I'm gonna leave you with one more thing. It's a very important thing, and we may have to elaborate on this. Happy wife, happy life. That's a real thing. And I don't mean to say that you should have no say, you should be abused, taken advantage of. I'm not saying that you have no right to have an opinion about things. You should definitely meet in the middle for most things. But in the small things, just learn to let her have it. You know what, babe? You're right. You know what, babe? I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. Just let her win. It's going to save you a lot of heartache. It's going to save you a lot of headache. It's going to end a lot of fights. Just learn to stop arguing. Stop trying to explain. You're right. That's all you got to learn how to do. Anyways, we'll definitely have to elaborate on that one. How to end arguments with your women. But anyways, I hope this was helpful. Let me know what your thoughts are. All right, see ya.